Hey car lovers! Today, we're rolling back the clock to 1951 to take a closer look at a tiny car that tried to make a big impression, the Crosley Super Sport. Now, if you've never heard of Crosley, you're not alone. But believe it or not, there was a moment in post-war America when this tiny car was supposed to be a symbol of fun, freedom, and frugality. Instead, well, let's just say it became a bit of a punchline. But don't worry, this isn't a roast, this is a love letter. A long, casual drive through the story of a car that dared to be different. Whether you're a classic car enthusiast or someone who remembers when gas was 19 cents a gallon, sit back and enjoy this ride. Let's start at the beginning. In the late 1940s, Crosley Motors had already made a name for itself by building compact, fuel-efficient vehicles, long before that was cool or even considered necessary. Their cars were smart, simple, and in some ways far ahead of their time. So when they introduced the 1951 Super Sport, it seemed like a logical next step. It was marketed as a fun, sporty, and affordable roadster. At first glance, it looked like a scaled-down European car, with a rakish little grille, low-slung body, and open-top charm. But it wasn't just about looks. This was the final evolution of Crosley's earlier hotshot model, a final attempt to capture America's growing love for sports cars. The problem? It looked sporty, but didn't quite drive like one. Still, for $953 brand new, it was an accessible entry into motoring excitement, at least in theory. Now let's talk about what was under the hood, or rather, what barely fit under it. The Crosley Super Sport came with a 44 cubic inch, inline-4, Cobra, engine. Sounds cool, right? Well, here's the kicker. Cobra stood for copper brazed, which referred to its sheet metal engine block, a wild experiment in lightweight engine design. Sounds futuristic, but in practice, it was a nightmare. This thing had just 26.5 horsepower, which meant if you were going uphill, you might want to get out and push. Worse yet, the copper-brazed construction was fragile. Overheat it once, and you might as well start shopping for a new car. Mechanics hated it, owners dreaded the repair bills, and yet, some brave engineers genuinely believed they were changing the game. It's a case of innovation gone just slightly sideways, like designing a plane that flaps its wings. Let's talk about the body. And no, I don't mean the sleek Italian curves of a Ferrari. I mean the Crosley's paper-thin, steel sheet body panels. These things were so thin, you could practically poke a dent into them by sneezing too hard. And rust? Oh boy. These cars were practically allergic to moisture. Park one near the beach, and you could hear it corroding in real time. Even brand new models began showing rust while still on the dealer lot. There wasn't much in the way of undercoating or insulation either. You could hear every pebble, every splash, and every creak. But somehow, that added to the charm. It didn't feel like a car, it felt like something between a roller skate and a go-kart, with just enough sheet metal to keep the wind off your knees. It wasn't refined, but it was something. So, what was it like to actually drive a Crosley Super Sport? Well, that depends on your expectations. If you were hoping for a thrilling roadster experience, like something from Triumph or MG, you were in for a letdown. But if you just wanted a fun little cruiser to get ice cream on a Sunday afternoon, then maybe, just maybe it delivered. It was small, just over 12 feet long and weighing about 1,100 pounds. With no power steering and very limited braking ability, it forced you to really drive. It buzzed and clattered and made you work for every mile. It didn't hug corners, it clung to them out of sheer hope. But it had personality, it had quirks, and in an era of big, heavy Detroit muscle, it was a whisper among roars. Some owners found that endearing. Others swore they'd never touch one again. By 1952, Crosley Motors was done. The market had spoken, and it wanted more power, more comfort, more everything. Powell Crosley Jr., the dreamer behind the brand, had envisioned simple, affordable transportation for post-war families. But dreams don't always survive reality. The Super Sport became the swan song of a company that dared to be different. And yet, that difference is exactly why a few of these oddball cars are still around today. A small but passionate group of collectors keep them alive, not because they were great cars, but because they were brave cars. Brave in their ambition, brave in their design, brave enough to try something that no one else dared. If you've ever seen one in person, you know, it looks like something out of a comic strip. Funny, lovable, and just a little bit tragic. But that's also what makes it unforgettable. So now the question's yours to answer. Have you ever seen a Crosley Super Sport in the wild? Did your uncle, neighbor, or maybe even your parents ever own one? And if so, Did it actually run? Or did it rust away before you got out of the driveway? Let us know in the comments. Was it a lovable oddball or just a lemon in disguise? Because no matter how flawed it was, there's something magical about a car that makes people remember. And the Crosley Super Sport? Well, it sure did that.